right now at 6. A neighborhood in shock after a devastating fire. 2 people badly burned, fighting for their lives. 3 others injured as well. 7 News is tracking the search for the cause. Breaking at this hour, a festival marking the end of Ramadan rocked by gunfire. People who ran for their lives describe being caught in the middle of a shootout. Plus, following 7 News I-Team reporting on forever chemicals in drinking water. Major action by the EPA tonight. 7 News shows you how the area's largest water utility is getting ahead of the problem.
We begin with new video tonight of this home just gutted by a devastating fire. It happened in Fairfax County. 5 people are in the hospital and 2 are badly burned. Good evening. I'm Michelle Marsh. Skytrack 7 was over the scene in Clifton this morning. Firefighters tell us flames were shooting out of the home as they pulled up to the scene. New for us tonight at 6 o'clock. Our Carl Willis is live on scene talking with neighbors. Carl, what did they witness?
Yeah, Michelle, I talked to neighbors who witnessed this fire start. They saw the flames grow until they reached out of the roof and out of the windows here on the scene behind me. They also witnessed the effort to save 2 young lives, 2 children on the front lawn of that home receiving CPR. Now, neighbors, some of them eyewitnesses, shared these pictures with me. Those flames, as I mentioned, coming mostly from the left side of that house. And then after being given CPR, 2 young children being wheeled away and rushed to a hospital. Now, we're told that 3 generations of family live in this house. The grandparents were here with the children as the parents were away at work, say neighbors. Well, that's the situation when the fire started. We're still working to get the latest conditions of those who were affected here. But witnesses say the 2 young children who had to be removed from that house did not appear to be burned, but rather appeared to be suffering from smoke inhalation. Now, we saw the last of the fire crew leave here just before 5, and you can see back live here, the home is gutted. We're going to continue to work to get the latest updates on those 2 young victims, and the grandmother who we heard was burned. That's the very latest in Clifton, Fairfax County. Carl Willis, 7 News.
Carl, thank you. I'm John Rogers at the Alert Desk, continuing to track the breaking news out of Philadelphia of the shooting that we have there. So this is what we know. 3 people were shot and 5 people are now in custody after a shooting at the celebration to mark an end to Ramadan. So the Philly Police Commissioner says at around 2:30, at least 30 gunshots were fired between 2 groups of people, and at least 1 officer fired shots at a suspected gunman, a 15-year-old boy. Here's how a witness describes the scene.
We were enjoying ourselves. The kids was running around, everyone was eating, and at about 2:30, we just heard shots, and everyone just started running and scattering around.
Also, an officer responding to the scene struck a 6-year-old with the police cruiser as that child was running from the gunfire. That child has a fractured leg. We'll be sure to keep you updated on this breaking news. Michelle?
John, thank you. Tonight, this man accused of killing a Greenbelt mother in 2014 is now finally in custody. Police crediting the victim's daughter, who, by the way, just 11 years old at the time of the crime, who created a social media campaign that helped track him down. Only on 7 News, our Brad Bell spoke with her about the arrest.
7 News reporting on the terrible crime almost exactly 10 years ago. The abduction and murder of 28-year-old Amelia Ignacio in Greenbelt, a mother of 2, set to graduate from the University of Maryland within weeks. Shortly after finding Ignacio's body here in Greenbelt, police named a suspect, putting out a warrant for the arrest of the victim's boyfriend, a man by the name of Juan Miguel Roman. But Roman, who also used the last name Balderas, managed to avoid arrest. Police believe he fled to Mexico. At the time of the murder, Ignacio's daughter, Kiani de Jesus, was just 11. She is now 21. And as an adult, she says it is time her mother's killer is held accountable.
After all of this time, after everything my family's been through, I feel like they deserve it.
So last year, De Jesus and a friend launched a social media campaign to track down Roman Balderas, her mother's alleged killer.
I was posting pictures of him, old pictures of, my family. I was posting pictures of my mom every day. I was contacting people on social media like Instagram, Facebook.
She now claims it paid off, as someone who knew Balderas living a new life in Mexico under the name Pablo turned him in. Greenbelt police confirming an arrest in Mexico in December. A spokesperson for the U.S. Marshals Service telling 7 News they are unable to comment on the case or the status of any extradition proceedings. DeJesus is speaking out now about her own detective work to remind the community about her mother and hopefully apply some pressure to the authorities to bring Roman Balderas to justice.
I'm not giving up on my mother. I'm not giving up on my mom. I will not be happy until that man is in the USA.
In Greenbelt, Brad Bell, 7 News.
And you might be wondering why the larger Prince George's County Police Department did not take over the investigation. Well, Greenbelt is one of the few municipalities in the county that has the resources to handle homicide investigations within its boundaries. That's why the case had been handled by their department this entire time. As Brad reported now, though, it's now up to federal marshals to work with Mexican officials when it comes to extradition. For the first time ever, the EPA is setting national limits on the forever chemicals known as PFAS in drinking water. The 7 News I-Team's Lisa Fletcher has investigated these highly toxic chemicals in our soil, consumer goods, and water supply for more than 2 years. Now our Tom Rousey is looking at how local water providers are preparing to meet the new standards and what in your home contributes to contamination. Tom.
Yeah, Michelle, it's more than you might think. These new EPA standards for drinking water, they don't take effect for 5 more years, but WSSC Water tells us they're already meeting the standards at this point, which they showed on this chart. However, they say if you want to avoid forever chemicals, you may not be getting much from their drinking water, but products in your home might have it. Cleaning supplies often have them, even, believe it or not, pizza boxes, and also another product that has it, non-stick pans.
We've been testing for 4 years, since 2020, and we found that the levels are all below the rules set out today.
WSSC Water senior scientist Priscilla Toe says fortunately rivers like the Potomac, where drinking water comes from, have low levels of forever chemicals or PFAS. But she says they are constantly having samples tested to make sure that is not changing. Currently, they can test water for things like bacteria at this Silver Spring lab, but when they want to test for forever chemicals, they have to send the samples to a contractor.
Doubling the lab size. We are putting a research.
That will change this fall when this new testing lab for forever chemicals opens in Silver Spring. However, WSSC Water says for people concerned about forever chemicals, drinking water should not be their top worry.
What they might consider doing is reducing their use of products that contain PFAS or were made using PFAS.
Products you likely use every day contain PFAS, and by using them, you may wind up unknowingly getting PFAS in the water supply. WSSC Water recommends trying to buy products that do not have forever chemicals.
What that does is 2 things. One is it helps a customer reduce their PFAS exposure, but what it does to help us and to help all water suppliers is it keeps PFAS from entering the environment and entering the water cycle.
And other products that often have forever chemicals, dental floss, and also some makeup and nail polish. Now, after seeing this story, you may be thinking, well, gosh, I would like to eliminate a lot of the products with forever chemicals in my home. Well, for some advice on WJLA.com, go to this article on our website. At the very bottom, we've put a link to a website that has suggestions for products you can buy that do not contain these forever chemicals. Reporting live in Silver Spring, I'm Tom Rousey, 7 News.
Raising awareness so important on this issue. Tom, thank you. And again, you can see our exclusive I-Team reporting on forever chemicals by scanning the QR code that you see at the bottom of your screen. Our Lisa Fletcher has been investigating this issue for years now. You'll find her work online as well if you just head to our website. Steve?
Turned out to be a relatively nice day out there, even though clouds won out over sunshine. We are looking at the Kennedy Center right now. Cloudy skies, at least we are dry. However, the farther west you go, looking at showers, Garrett, Allegheny, Washington counties, and we'll see those showers continue as we move through the next hour or two. But we're totally dry inside and around the Capitol Beltway. So if you have dinner plans outside, not going to have to worry about the wet weather gear. Look at these temperatures. My goodness, feels good out there. 77 at Dulles, 75 Andrews. temperatures, 77 in College Park, Fairfax at 80 degrees. Our rainfall potential is going to go up over the next 24 hours as we head through this evening. We're mainly dry, but look what happens come early tomorrow morning. Clouds continue to thicken, a stray shower or two by lunchtime, looking at a greater risk for those heavier downpours, and then we'll keep the wet weather with us as we move into early tomorrow evening, and then even the chance for some stronger storms by tomorrow night. Our updated futurecast coming up in just a few minutes.
Remember these 4 little words. We can do it.
Rosie the Riveters honored on Capitol Hill for their heroic contributions during World War II. And a live look from the White House, where right now guests are arriving for the state dinner. Japan's Prime Minister making a major announcement as he's in D.C. We'll have that for you ahead.
This medal represents the millions of American women who went to work during World War II. Up until 1941, it was a man's world. They didn't know how capable us women were, did they?
That really changed everything for women. They were known as Rosie the Riveters, women who stepped up during World War II to work positions usually filled by men. Last night, we showed you their arrival at Reagan National Airport. Well, today, more than 7 decades later, these iconic ladies, they were honored on Capitol Hill during a Congressional Gold Medal ceremony. Once again, we thank these heroic women for their service. Maryland tightens its juvenile reform laws. Prince George's County's top prosecutor now sharing what changes she's pleased about in an exclusive interview. Tonight, we're hearing from the top prosecutors in Prince George's County and Baltimore City about juvenile crime reform. The plan is awaiting a decision from Governor Wes Moore. Mackenzie Frost from our sister station in Baltimore sits down with the prosecutors.
Top prosecutors Ivan Bates and Aisha Braveboy sitting down after 90 days of legislative action, working with partners in Annapolis to address juvenile crime concerns across the state.
Last year, this time, no one was talking about juvenile issues, and we really feel good because we feel that we heard our citizens, the residents in Prince George's County and in Baltimore City. We've been listening around the state, and that we heard what they wanted, and we worked to try to make that happen.
It's not to lock everyone up, it's really to rehabilitate individuals, but they have to be held accountable.
These two say the plan crafted and approved by lawmakers will bring more accountability and rehabilitation for young offenders, plus require more communication from the Department of Juvenile Services.
This bill essentially allows the courts to go back and say, if you are not meeting those conditions, we can extend the term of your probation. We can put other terms in to assist you with coming into compliance. So those things were important.
The plan requires the child in need of supervision or SINS petition to be filed when a young person between 10 and 12 years old is accused of stealing a car for the first time.
State's Attorney Bates, I know you've had some reservations about the effectiveness of a SINS petition. Do you believe that this piece of legislation where the SINS petition will be required will really move the needle on this?
Well, I hope it will. I think sometimes you just have to blow the system up and start fresh, and that's kind of what I understand DJS is possibly going to do, is to look at their own policies and procedures to make sure that everybody's trained effectively.
During session,
gentleman from Baltimore City to explain your vote.
Some Democrats passionately against this plan.
But we're dealing with 10 4th, 5th, and 6th graders. We are expanding criminal jurisdiction to them.
I'm embarrassed. It's dangerous. It's a slippery slope.
To that, Bates says,
I understand you see the children, and we see children as being needed to be protected, and as the children. But when you see the victim that's been carjacked, when you see the victim that's lost everything they have, when you see the victim that's been beaten or robbed, we see that person. And what we're trying to say is we're not looking to try to put the children in jail. But children must be held accountable, because if you're not held accountable at a young age, when you grow up, what's going to happen?
These two also work to expand the organized crime statute to include more offenses. Braveboy says this will help hold everyone involved in the criminal activity accountable. In Baltimore, Mackenzie Frost, 7 News.
Japan's prime minister announcing today they're giving the U.S. 250 new cherry trees to replace the hundreds that will be removed around the tidal basin for construction. The National Cherry Blossom Festival parade is this Saturday, and 7 News once again hosting, along with honorary Grand Marshal Bachelorette and Dancing with the Stars Charity Lawson. Steve, we are hoping for some good weather. How's it looking?
Absolutely. It looks like it's going to be a bit on the windy side, but at least temperatures will be in the 60s. Look how green it's getting around here. Check out our latest pollen report. If you've been sniffling and sneezing, I know a lot of you have been, tree pollen, that's the main culprit right now. Grasses, weeds, and mold on the low category. Here's our high temperature today, made up to 77 degrees. Our normal for this time of year is at 66. We have a few showers, mainly across western Maryland, Garrett, Allegheny, Washington counties. Nothing terribly heavy, not picking up any thunder or lightning, and these are in and out relatively quickly. So if you do have dinner plans outside, not going to have to worry about it. In fact, nothing to worry about for the metro other than a stray shower or two later on tonight. Here's our future cast. We'll stop at 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. Cloudy skies for the metro, down 95, and then wet weather arrives just in time for outdoor recess for the kids. We'll get that batch out of here relatively quickly. A few showers come 5 p.m. along the I-81 corridor, and then watch this area right over here. It looks impressive by 9 o'clock tomorrow night, but our latest forecast trends have it falling apart with just a few storms as we move into 11 midnight tomorrow evening, and some of those may pack a bit of a punch with gusty winds and some heavier downpours. Thursday night, that's going to be your risk for you. We're under a marginal risk for the D.C. metro, and then the flood potential is still out there. That's a slight risk. That's for the heavier downpours. Temperature-wise, we're still in the 70s right now. Dew point levels, nothing to worry about. As we move through this evening, our temperatures fall through the 70s, eventually the 60s. We settle to the around 60-degree mark early tomorrow morning, and then highs for tomorrow, a cooler day. We're in the upper 60s to lower 70s, but those wind gusts are going to begin to pick up, especially by evening, 25 to 30 miles per hour. Here's the next 7 days for you. We're at 67 on Friday. Then, of course, we have the National Cherry Blossom Parade on Saturday. It will be on the windy side with temperatures in the lower 60s.
And now, the Toyota Sports Desk, sponsored by your Toyota dealers.
This DMV region has always been a hotbed for tennis. Over the past couple of years, everybody has gotten behind Hyattsville native Frances Tiafoe. The rising star is getting it done on the court and also becoming a winner in our community. It was a day of celebration in College Park. Frances Tiafoe presenting a $50,000 grant to the Junior Tennis Championship Center.
It means a lot to me, Scott. I mean, obviously, this organization gave so much to me.
The grant is part of the USTA Foundation's Frances Tiafoe Fund, which started last summer, supporting under-resourced youth with free or low-cost tennis and academic programming. What kind of impact can this have on the facility?
Oh, big time. We can get a lot more new kids in the area, a lot more new faces that, never thought about playing tennis to then do so.
These courts are where Tiafoe learned how to play, picking up his first racket when he was just 4 years old.
It's been an amazing ride, amazing journey, and obviously still got the pen in my hand to still write the story, but I'm so happy I'm able to get back to the club, especially while I'm playing.
Listen, Tiafoe's become one of the main faces of American tennis. Here in the DMV, he's a role model for so many young players.
I love to show that a lot of DMV guys have great personalities, right? And show that people can play the game of tennis. At the end of the day, the same message is always the same. Nothing worthwhile in life comes easy.
Big Foe doing big things on and off the tennis court. Tiafoe is currently ranked 23rd in the world. His next tournament will be in Madrid, Spain at the end of April. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Midday showers tomorrow. Will be on storm alert tomorrow evening into very early Friday morning. It's windy and cooler on Friday, but look at next week. We're around 80 degrees Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday.
Consistency.
Yes,
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's looking good out there, and it's going to be okay, I think, for the parade, although a bit on the windy side.
All right, thank you so much. World News Tonight with David Muir is coming your way next. Be sure to join us back here at 11. Until then, have a good night.